Good morning, Sarah. Good afternoon on your side. How are you this morning?
Yeah, I'm very well. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle, for having me here.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm going to, we don't have much time, and we're doing this kind of 3 times. In the next 3 months, we're going to just dive in a little bit into your wisdom. I've called it Earth Conscious Wisdom because you are all about new Earth and nature. And tell me more. Put it in your
Yeah,
words.
actually, I have to mention that I truly love the description also about the chat that you wrote today on the YouTube channel. I just wrote it. Read it, and then that you chose this Earth conscious thing, which is kind of an overarching, we can say, a hat where you put everything. Since we first chat our time, and we had a beautiful connection, I remember.
That's right.
And then I have to tell you something about that. No, it's something about the tree. Like we can talk about
That's
this
it.
in the live. It's something about the trees, the
Yes.
tree event, which is getting closer, and so maybe we can talk about it. But yeah, in general, so I have as many women and many men walking this path of seekers. We have many abilities, many interests, and many passions. And for me, they all come down to this big passion of being present to ourselves, and so knowing ourselves and get deeper into the inner work and the healing work, which is part of my work, but also to contribute to the co-creation of a new earth, and not only at a consciousness level, which is what we're doing, but also like in a practical level. And so there, I speak more about social entrepreneurship and yeah, how you can get more impact maybe with your own projects, and just doing it really from a place of love and earth. And I
Yeah.
think that earth, yeah, should be a lot more into our conversations, also in the impactful circles, because to talk about impact or social impact and stuff, but it's very disconnected to what the culture
Yes.
is.
Yes, I agree. And kind of we've named this self-love revolution. Our theme in the Wisdom Seekers this month is self-love, and I feel quite strongly that we can't connect to the outside unless we've kind of started from the inside. So you also talk about, I'm loving your social media at the moment. It's very fun, and you
It's
are.
very populated, isn't it? I'm posting a lot.
That's it. It's beautiful. It's lovely. It shows that you are inspired where you are, I think. Um,
Yeah. And I have time. Before I didn't so much.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That helps.
It does help a lot, especially with social media. But
Yeah.
you talk a lot about highly sensitive, heart-centered, um, nature kind of connections. I loved when we first met. I'm obsessed with trees and kind of the connection we have with
Yeah.
trees and all of that. And we met, or we had our first conversation under a tree. You were under a tree in
Yeah, very big one.
yeah,
I remember that place is special in my heart. I was back in Italy at the moment, my home
that's right.
country.
That's right. And you're in Australia now.
Yeah, that's why I chose a picture of Australia. Like this one
That's
showcasing here is the very famous the Pact, where everybody goes surf
okay.
in Byron Bay. Yeah, it's like the biggest surfing. I don't know, like the
Yes.
most not the biggest, but the most famous one of the most famous, historically.
Yes.
Um, Beaches of Australia, and it's really beautiful. Like it has a really beautiful view. So
Yeah. And it's so the energy of the ocean is just so amazing. Um,
well, that's all you have in Australia. No, actually, you have a lot of trees as well, but I mean, it's just all over.
yeah,
It's a huge island.
exactly. It is huge. So tell me what you do, like kind of self-love. You work with people one on one. You also do coaching, group coaching. You have programs, but you have a special kind of space for self love and um, connecting to self, and also from an empath perspective. It's
Yeah,
often that we are so connected outside that it gets a bit much on the inside, which is, yeah,
Yeah,
an
I
interesting
agree.
place
I
to.
agree with what you're saying. I talk a lot about, you see, talk about a lot about sensitives. Well, for few reasons. Obviously, I'm one,
Mm,
as you are. And my journey of embracing sensitivity was not easy because I was just sick for a long time and I didn't understand what was going on. So, and
yeah,
nobody could help me. And so until I got into the world of energetics, but made in a proper way. What I mean proper, I mean not woo-woo, but just I use a lot of quantum kinesiology. I use a lot of testing. I use a lot of like A, B, like blind testing or whatever you want to call it, you know. So I'm very grounded in that side. And until I didn't find that, I haven't found like that line
yeah,
which pairs up intuition. Of course, it's intuition. Like it's something you can't see. Like it's something you have to trust. But
yeah,
there are ways that your body can really tell you, you know, this is a yes, this is a no, and it's so straightforward. Like you can't get away from it. And
yeah,
so when I found like that approach, that you know, my issues started to resolve. And so that's why I'm so passionate about sensitive people because it's where you know started solving my issue that I started going back to self-love because there was a long time where I was just hating my body because it had all of these symptoms and it were really annoying and keeping me up in bed, sometimes sending me to hospital and like just depleting and not allowing me to have a regular social life. And I didn't understand, you know. And so and so there's tons of people who are just like that and they live very stressful life and with unhappy bodies, with like symptoms like asthma, you know, or chronic digestive problem or acid reflux, and they think, you know, it's just normal constipation. It's just normal. It's not normal. Like it's not normal. You're not supposed to be living like that.
yeah, no,
And then there's the whole array of the emotional problems, like which of course we tend to think of empaths as very kind and nice and open-hearted people, but actually there's a lot of empaths that cannot be that people, that kind of person yet, because they didn't do the inner work, you know, that
mm,
allow them to be there. They're just like carrying intergenerational traumas. They're carrying, you know, patterns, and they're carrying and they're amplifying it either. And I was there too, you know. So I was on the borderline personality disorder thing, and I was like, what, what's happening, you know? And so for me, it was like a very long journey. And if you know me, it's like you can't even, you know, imagine that happening, but it did happen, and it lasted many years, and it was so frustrating, and it really got me to go deep in the path of the seeking
yes,
truth.
yeah,
And yeah, and I'm so happy about it now because not only I can share these, of course, with other people, but I know that there are so many empaths, like so many sensitives. We are so many because just more people are, you know, are born like this. And
yeah,
also now it's more into the mainstream conversation. You
mm,
know, there is a lot of neurodiversity, talking about neurodiversity, talking about, oh, maybe we're not like all, you know, the same kind of guy. Oh wow, maybe there's a space for diversity. Woo. So and
it's
so now, you know, there is yeah, there is this like little blink, little opening. And
mm,
so we need to talk, like, okay, so talk about it, like, and you know, and say all the things we go through and say how we can solve them. And self-love was definitely a struggle for me because I was saying I was just hating my body. I'm sorry using this word, is pretty strong word and I never use it, but I was there.
yeah,
And so it really took me years to understand, you know, and to recreate that connection of trust and love that starts from my body, but it's just trusting like all that you are,
yeah,
and just in general, you know, all the other gifts that you have. So loving your sensitivity, loving that I'm so intuitive, loving that I have these psychic gifts, loving that now I can heal others, loving that I have these, you know, channeling healing abilities, which were very out of ordinary for the environment I come from, you know, and it's nobody wants to talk about it, of course. It's like yeah, you do your thing, nobody talks about it. You know? Yeah.
And that's exactly where it kind of lies. It's how do we, you know, and I think you mentioned we have started talking about it in the mainstream. We're talking about neurodiversity, but you know, to I almost want to say that it's more than neurodiversity, that we are so uniquely us, that if we can step away from this concept of normal and disorder or different and just go, who are you and how are you or me, how are we experiencing the world from our
yeah.
lenses? Um, yeah.
And I think that for this, for example, you know, I was like any seeker or any, you know, person having problems, let's say, or, you know, wanting to solve their something in their life, they just research, at least that's my approach. And so when I discovered, for example, about the human design thing, and which spoke more to me than, for example, just astrology, because it astrology, even though you have a very like unique, of course, birth chart, and that's, I'm not implying anything, I'm not implying like one system is better than the other at all. I'm just saying what spoke to me, and I'm trying to frame this in a conversation where we are right now, that our people are watching and saying, it's a good thing, for example, you know, to dive into stuff like human design or so, which where you have like your unique thing, but also that show you how energetically we are meant to all be embodied in a slightly different way. And so that opens up a lot of tolerance for other people, and a lot of like really opening up, you know, the mind, and say, whoa, okay, like
Yeah.
let's you know, let's stop creating, like as you said, like let's stop creating categories or boxes or anything. And even highly sensitive is just a category, a big category for itself. And what does it even mean? Because with so many different things inside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that you're touching on something interesting. Well, it's fascination for me is tools that we use to understand ourselves, because um, my background is in psychology and psychological assessment and things like that, which, you know, by definition creates boxes. But as I was you know, as I was taught, and how I looked at it while I was learning all these aspects, was to use as many tools as possible to get the full picture, so that your lenses aren't skewed. And I love that you brought up human design. It's a very interesting modality, because it uses different lenses as well. It
Yeah.
involves astrology, it involves I Ching, the chakra system, and all kinds of things. So it's, you know, it's a way of looking at our unique energy from different perspectives. And it's fascinating to kind of go, oh wow, that's why I feel or behave like that, because there's this thing, and it's just who I am. And if I can embrace that, and understand it, I suppose it's also about
Yeah.
accepting.
And then also, you know, bringing this back to the conversation of self-love, that helps you so much
Mm,
in understanding some traits of you that maybe, you know, were not so clear before.
yeah.
And after the understanding, you can have the acceptance, and you can have the really like falling in love with yourself in
Mm,
a good way.
yeah.
And also that gives you, because it's so complicated, like once you start researching about yourself, it's not only with that tool, but I'm a big fan as well to apply many lenses.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I dove
Yeah.
deep in many other fields. For example, you just had, you know, an expert on enneagram and stuff. That's
Yeah.
also something I'm very much into. I mean, what am I not into? Would be will be probably be counted on the, you know,
It's a very small group on the side there.
yeah, like
Yeah.
probably, I don't know, like cigarettes and football, or you know, just I don't know, like everything else, just bring it on. Yeah, but especially everything that has to do with human consciousness, and just knowing ourselves as, and advancing as a society, and as
Mm,
humanity on earth, and, you know, refining this balance between humans and earth, because basically that's what we are sent to do here. I mean, that's why we were sent to do this. Otherwise, they wouldn't, have so many. I mean, why were not so many like us in the past? And
Yeah.
yeah, of course, you could argue, oh yeah, they didn't know, they were not like blah blah blah. Yeah, but I don't know. I think there's obviously a great need for us. But so what I was saying about self love is and then when you start using these different tools and lenses to get to know yourself better, basically you become so busy because you have so many things to understand and experiment and heal and just wounding and and then so many layers that you can go through,
Yeah.
that you become so busy with yourself that you really start loving each other, like loving other people more as well, because you just don't care anymore about they're going through their own thing. Like, I'm so busy with my own thing, just let them do their thing. And you're cool with everybody, you're chill, you don't take anything personal anymore. It's like, chill. So it's a
Exactly.
great peacemaking tool.
Yeah. Yeah. And with yourself, because you can kind of laugh at yourself and go, oh,
um,
that's that thing, and it does become less serious, and it kind of puts you into that observer role as well, as to how you can experience yourself from that kind of looking at yourself aspect, which I really
yeah,
enjoy. Yeah. Yeah. um, it's a fascinating conversation, as it is so difficult for us to sometimes make that kind of inner kind of turn around and have a look inside. We've just been doing a bit of a moon to moon self-love, mirror work, kind of experience, and in the group there's so many people that I mean, I'm one of them, that struggle to kind of look, to look into your own eyes and kind of ask yourself, what do you need, you know um, because we're so busy looking on the outside and making sure that everyone else is okay. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's what you were saying before, and I
Mm.
believe that's true. That's true until we have to bring up a big topic here, which is the topic of boundaries,
Yeah.
which I think it relates so much with self-love, for especially for highly sensitive empaths,
Mm.
because until you don't really learn that and to stand your ground in your boundaries, you are, kind of go outside and be all over the place.
Yeah.
But that's one of the first things that need to be changed. If you really want to start loving yourself, you need to be with yourself and just care about yourself a lot more. And when I say a lot, I say a lot. I remember having one time I had this client, like one-on-one coaching client, and like I do quantum coaching, so it's not only coaching; it's a lot of energetic healing techniques using energy psychology and quantum kinesiology, and so it's like a deeper thing. And I remember we were having this talk about self-care, and she was not having any self-care. So picture, basically she was still married, but basically like a solo mom, because then after a while she had a divorce, like the father was not there at all. So picture a solo mom with 3 years old, with a shop, like she was owning a shop, and owning a shop is a big thing because it needs to be open no matter what. It's not like I'm working from home, I'm scheduling the post. It's like you can't schedule the window, you have to open the door and be there. And
Yeah.
obviously she has an employee is helping her out, but it's just a lot of work. And I mean, imagine like this very stressed, out woman,
Yes.
who's luckily was, asking for help and to change the situation. And she's in a much better place right now. And I'm happy for her. But we were talking about self-care. And so basically she said, oh yeah, Sarah, yeah. So this week I got some time for myself and I got some self-care. And I said, great. So what did you do? And she's like, yeah, so I booked a 20-minute appointment to just do my nails. And that's it. Like, that's
Yeah.
not the self-care we need here, because we need to have self-care where you like have time to space out, to meditate, to journal, to be with yourself, to let your things coming up, to be with your emotions, We are not talking about self-care as doing your nails, you know. I mean, that's
Yes, there we
part
go.
of it. That can be like additional, but that's not what I'm asking you to do, you know. And so also talking about, you know, we need to name this, because maybe some people, really for so many people still, you know, when we as sensitives say that we want some time alone, or we need some time off, or we want to like relax, they have no idea what that means to us. They think like relax is going and watch a movie. Yeah, maybe sometimes, but actually, if I feel overwhelmed, I don't want to go in a place where other people are, or I don't want to have any external stimuli, you know. So even all this language that people have around self-care and self-love and taking time for yourself,
Yeah.
uh, it needs to be like regulator, or, you know,
Yeah.
attuned to what it means for actually highly sensitive. She was also highly sensitive, but she was just not living her, you know, embodying it like in a
Yeah.
proper way. She was just under the weather for it.
Which can take its toll big time. I mean, when your energy is depleted consistently or constantly,
Yeah.
it, as you know, physically takes its toll on us as well.
Well, she had a few physical problems going on, but
Yeah,
you know, moms just have to deal with it. So
yeah, exactly.
nothing too serious.
Yet, and
But yeah,
that's
like,
where the
but
turnaround comes usually, isn't it?
yeah, but we worked on that, and I mean, she got a lot better as well. And yeah, she, as I mentioned, she went out of the, she divorced this guy, and she got in a much better place. She changed job, which was a great thing. I mean, it's actually a great thing because it's your own thing. It was her own shop, like entrepreneurial thing.
Yeah,
So totally shift of things, took responsibility for everything, and had a lot more time for calm down and understand, you know, what relaxation was, and giving her some space to herself and falling in love again with her passions. Those are so important. She's a great singer.
mm,
She got like a lot more time for singing. And this is just an example, you know, of many I could talk about. I don't know why it just was top of my mind.
yeah.
Yeah. But that's also part of self love, isn't it? Like really allowing your gifts to shine, which are not related to any objective, like any, oh, I need to do this because, you know, I'm selling this, or like
Yeah.
I'm needing to make this art because I'm gonna sell it. No, you need to do that art because you do art.
And
That's
that's
it.
such a great point. Yeah, exactly. And for creators, all people are, according to me, everybody is a creative. It's just what your outlet is and how you practice your creativity. But that always goes on the bottom of the list, or at the back of
Yeah.
the mind. Once I have done what I need to do, I can do what I love to do. And um, it's such a limiting way of experiencing life, because
It's so stressful,
it is
and so
very,
stressful. And
yeah.
I speak about it like for myself, because of course I'm not perfect, you know.
That would be
And
boring.
well, otherwise it would be boring. But boring is not an adjective that people ever think about when they think of me. Like really living with me, you know, and see that they have, like, one time this is so funny. I remember there was this Chinese girl. We were basically having a term together, like in university. I was already in my master's when I was studying social entrepreneurship. Yeah,
Mm,
in Copenhagen. So imagine like this Chinese girl being in Copenhagen, and so for her it was like a completely like different world, because she was
yeah,
first time basically traveling to the Western world, and we had the connection. And so um, we became kind of friends. I mean, not that close, but kind of friends. And then basically her best way to say farewell to me, because she had to, you know, head back to her country, was, "Oh, Sarah, I really loved meeting you. Um, don't stop. Like, go on with your dreams and go on crazy, Sarah. You're so crazy. You're so you're so crazy. Go on with your dreams." And like, whoa, so that's what you learned about me. Happy to know.
yeah,
I take it as a compliment.
definitely,
For
definitely.
her, I mean, wasn't it crazy? I can think, you know, I can just think from an eye of a young Chinese
Yeah,
student, like how crazy it is that we're actually allowed to live out our dreams, or
Yeah.
to think about what we want to do, or to just be spontaneous about creating a life which doesn't run on a binary or
Yeah.
like on a railway. Like,
That's it.
isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing that.
And how lucky are we? I think we sometimes
Yeah.
forget that we have all this freedom because we're so conditioned to be productive. You know, you have to do stuff and move
Yeah,
forward
and you
and
were talking about the art thing, right? And
yeah,
that, yeah, and that's something that is bad on me as well, because we are
mm,
conditioned. You know, I do that afterwards,
yeah,
but that's not an act of self-love. Just, you know, because and you really feel it. So, for example, for me, I love writing,
yeah,
um, and sometimes I write inspired texts, you know, and they're actually pretty good. People tend to love them. Like I, so I think they're fine,
yeah,
and I just love writing them. I just love like being there and taking the time and you know, adjusting them. I mean, you know, the process of writing, it's a process,
yeah,
and it
yeah,
takes so much time, and I don't allow myself to get the time,
mm,
you know. And then sometimes when I do, after doing that, I feel so much more relaxed and
mm,
so much. Oh, today like I just allowed myself, because like I allowed this the space for me to be me, you know.
that's yeah, and to have some a way to express yourself in a or to express yourself in a way that you love to.
Yeah,
It's such a empowering concept,
yeah,
and I think
and
yeah,
not all the writing I can do is of that kind of writing, you know, because I do a lot of other writing which is related to running a business and copy and everything. Yeah, and so but I would like to do only one of it, only the first part, you know.
that's it, and to well to find a way to combine it all and to maybe to do the first part first instead of last,
Yeah,
would be a
exactly.
form of self-care as well, and a way for us to transform these relationships we have with ourselves, you know, maybe do the meditation in the morning or whatever it is, have your
Well,
nails done.
that's just a staple. I mean, that's just I can't go on my day if I haven't properly, you know, grounded and cleaned. And
Yeah,
I would say hello to myself in the morning. It's like connecting to, you know, a loved one or just a colleague at work. Or I mean, if I'm gonna spend my whole day with myself, better I connect with myself first.
yeah,
And myself is not only about me, you know, it's whatever is
mm,
bigger source connected to that. And so, I mean, that's how we are supposed to, I think, start our days. Because actually, this was something I was saying on one of my lives lately. So it's fresh on my mind. Uh, how much we as sensitives, since, you know, we're talking about this, are
mm,
supposed to connect to the invisible world. Like, we are supposed to do that, and we are supposed to do this for humanity. And we are supposed to do it whether, you know, we want to tell about this like on a screen, you know, tell this
yeah,
publicly or not. I don't care, you can just do it in your own private life, but you are supposed to do that, otherwise you wouldn't have been given
yeah,
those like extra sensitivity. uh,
yeah,
so use it to your advantage, like try to, you know, be the healthy life and healthy life for you and the people around you, and getting messages and do stuff that you're supposed to do. Like, for example, this whole new earth leadership thing I'm talking about.
mm,
It's it's just something, you know, I'm writing. It's like
yeah,
it's part of my purpose. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So
And we
it,
know I mean, inherently we have the wisdom, and that's the whole point for me is we have been disconnected from our own inner wisdom. But once we start listening and realizing, and when you're on that path, I don't think there's a right or a wrong. You know, when you're on the kind of off the path, but once you on your
yeah.
path, you know that you're doing the thing that you need to be doing. And then there's no choice really. Then it's just this is what I need to do, and this
Yeah,
is
I
what
love
I'm
what you just said.
doing. Yeah.
I love it.
I can't believe we are at the end of this wonderful conversation. I know that you have a Substack, so anybody
Yeah.
that wants to join that can go look for Sara Francesca.
Yeah, I would love that because that's like a publication around neuro leadership.
Yeah,
So we have different topics inside, and from neuro business to more personal growth stuff.
yeah.
And also the inspired pieces of writing I was talking about, like they are the energetic activations, and
Mhm.
I publish them there from
Okay,
time to time.
brilliant,
Just
brilliant. And of course, you are on Instagram. I love following you on Instagram.
oh,
Um,
thank you. That's so nice of you. I
and
mean, I'm following you too, but it's just, you don't come up on my feed as frequently as I come on yours, just because I'm like baking breads every day.
exactly, yes. And you're in such a beautiful area. I love the nature element and the connection that you share. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thanks to everyone. And well, talk to you soon then, Michelle, and keep up with your good work.
Thank you very much. We will chat again next month, and our theme next month is about being heard. So we'll dive a little bit more into that then.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Me too.